Welcome to Ring Talk. Myself, Martin Theobald, and join us shortly, Steve Goodwin. So what happened over the weekend? Not a lot, really. Clarissa Shields became undisputed at the second weight category in her career, cementing her legacy in her own terms as the greatest woman of all time. Leave others to debate that. Might have it with Steve later. What else happened? Joseph Parker announced that he's leaving Kevin Barry, his long-term trainer, moving over and linking up with Andy Lee, which is a pretty interesting development. So Andy Lee's been involved under Sugar Hill Stewart in training Tyson Fury. So let's see if that makes a difference after the Junior Farr fight and the upcoming talks about Derek Chisora. So that's an interesting one. Other than that, upcoming this weekend, what we've got, Chocolatito. So Roman Gonzalez going to be fighting Estrada, rematch to a phenomenal fight before, super flyweights that those two just mix well. And on that card as well, you got another women's undisputed fight in McCaskill and Breakas. So again, that's the welterweight title. It's great to see women's boxing doing these undisputed fights and making them, where the men's ones sometimes fail. Although we're seeing it now with Josh Taylor coming up, of course. We've seen it with Terence Crawford as well, same weight division like welter. Let's see if we do get more of that in the men's side of things. Canelo seems to be heading that way if he comes past Billy Joe. So that's it, really, for the week of boxing. There's not a lot going on in the UK scene. It's all gearing up, and there will be more and more, of course. But, over to myself and Steve. Welcome to Ring Talk with me, Martin Theobald. You've already seen me on the intro. And Steve. How you doing, Steve?
I'm good, mate. How we going?
I'm all right. I'm all right. You're working more stupid hours.
3:30 we started today. So it's, it's what it... I've just spoke to Sean Robinson tonight, and I've been trying to speak to Sean for about 3 days. This is how bad it is. And I just said I just haven't had a minute to talk to anybody about anything other than the financial world. Boxing, there's nothing mega urgent and to do at the moment, but literally it's been until we get to the end of the tax year. I've got a little break now, and then that's it. We're back. I'll probably go to sleep now and get up again at 3 in the morning and crack on again. So it's
that routine.
Mental. But there we go. It's all good. It's all good.
What's going on in the boxing? We haven't really got a lot to discuss, so we're going to blag it a little bit. You got Robbie Chapman fighting this weekend, haven't you?
Yeah, he's fighting on an empty. He's fighting Jordan Reynolds.
Yeah. Jordan, you know Jordan vaguely, I'm guessing.
No, don't know. I've never met him.
Okay, I think
I saw him on the only time I've really seen him, I saw him on First Dates he was on?
Yes.
Yeah, he was quite funny on that. Yeah, so yeah, I mean I know of him because he fought Linus Udofia twice as an amateur. So I know of him. He's a very talented boxer. He's had a lot of hard fights as an amateur, though. A lot of hard fights as an amateur.
Yeah.
And
but he's got that style, hasn't he? That he doesn't mind having a tear up.
Yeah. I mean, I think it'd be very exciting to watch. Whether he's turning over pro that little bit too late is something that I think time will tell. I mean, I think he's very entertaining. I think I'm looking forward to seeing him, but I've still got a question mark over whether he's doing it too late.
He's got to get past Robbie first.
No, I'm not sure Robbie is fully on the game at the moment. Okay. I think he needs to get a bit fitter and a run of fights. So yeah, I wouldn't imagine Robbie's going to be on the top of his game, but he'll be training. But he's not. You know, it's about the money for Robbie now. So that's what it's about.
Did I see Adrian Martin's got a title shot lined up?
Yeah, he's got the southern area became vacant when Sean Phillips vacated it, and
right.
Therefore, we knew that the board were looking at Aaron Sutton. So I know Adrian was desperately looking for a title fight. So in goes Adrian.
So is that middleweight?
Middleweight.
Yeah.
So it's not sorted out where and when yet, but it will happen. So Adrian's happy now. He's got his title fight. So that's great for him. And there was nobody else that was ready from us at middleweight. I mean, Luis Serret's needs 1 or 2 more, I think. So Dalton Millers needs another 1 or 2 before he has a crack at it. So really, let Adrian have his go, and it's a winnable fight for him. So,
Is that going to be his first fight back then? Presumably, there's
yeah.
not going to be anything.
So
Good on him.
I spoke to some fighters. A lot of fighters don't want to come straight back in. They want a warm up, a ring rust fight, which I totally understand that. So we're going to have to speak to everybody approaching the time. But no, Adrian wants to go straight in now.
They'll both be in the same boat, wouldn't they? It's not like he's going to have a disadvantage. Good on him.
Exactly. No, full credit.
We'll get a date for that in due course, presumably.
Yeah.
Is that likely to end up on a September one?
Well, it could do. Chris Senegal might want to stage it. At the moment, we'll just see if there's a home for it anywhere. But if not, he'll have to go to purse bids or we'll do a deal. And that's what'll happen. I imagine something. We'll
excellent. That's good news, isn't it?
Yeah, it's good for Adrian. He just wants a big fight. So he's got that fight. And so people like Sean Robinson, he's chasing down the English title that's being fought for between Scarf and Drew Brown. So if that falls apart, then I know that either Sean Robinson or Dean Richardson or one of the two would be wanting to get involved. But yeah, I think from that point of view, I know Sean's keen to get stuck in straight away if he can get an opportunity. So, there's going to be opportunities, but at the moment we've got to be relaxed about it because nobody knows for sure. We just got to prime people and get them ready. But and I will probably April, May time, speak to the boxers individually and get their plans and work out a strategy, and then I can start plotting out how we're going to do it for each one. So, but there's very little point doing that now because things, we'll want to make sure that the virus rate goes down, that we are sort of heading to where we hope to be heading, and then we can start planning with boxers as to what they want to do, and we'll go through it individually.
Do you reckon the board will make boxers get the vaccine before they're allowed to fight?
I reckon they should. I think they should.
We got called vaccine fascists in the YouTube comment last week.
Did we?
Yeah.
Well, I'm a vaccine fascist. I am a total vaccine fascist. And I'll tell you why I'm a vaccine fascist in a minute then. Because I've got quite strong views on this. And let's be quite clear. So for whoever called us a vaccine fascist, let me tell you what a vaccine fascist is, right? Don't bleat onto me about your human rights in not having the vaccine, right? Fuck your human rights. What about my human rights in you infecting me and killing me, right? So from my point of view, it's my human rights that matter because I'm doing my bit to try and stop the vaccine spreading around the country. If we all took this, we're not getting vaccinated. The virus. If we all took this, we're not taking a vaccine, the virus would rip through, there'd be lots of deaths. So everybody that takes a vaccine is doing their bit to try and help. These people that say, that want to go accusing people of being a vaccine fascist, you don't take the vaccine, but don't go in. You go and live on your own in your little house, but don't go out infecting other people because it's a breach of other people's human rights. So don't fucking go on and call me a vaccine fascist. I could call you a lot worse. To me, it's really clear. The point is, if you take the vaccine, then you are doing your bit. If you're not, then you don't, and you have the right not to do it. But don't start insulting people who are trying to protect others and loved ones, because I think they're morons. If they don't want to take it, it's fine. I know people that don't want to take it. But from that point of view, you don't take it and you accept whatever restrictions are in place. Now, going back to the question, I believe that boxers should have vaccines because I think at the end of the day, if it is spread, if it's going to be spread by spit and everything else, then boxers that are in rings, that things come out as spit goes everywhere. You've got people sitting front row ringside who may be 70 years of age, who may have had the vaccine, but it's not 100% sure. So these boxers that are going to be spitting everywhere and everything else should have the vaccine. And that's my view. But I don't know whether the board will do it, but I would support the board in doing that because I think you should have it.
Do you think they should then, because the board have got all the stuff around isolation bubbles and stuff like that, do you perceive, and I know you don't know the answer, but do you think the board will start to ease some of that as the vaccine comes in and the R rate gets lower?
If they don't, we won't be promoting. If we don't,
that's probably, isn't it?
I mean, but the thing is, if you release social restrictions at the end of June, then I think, and you allow crowds to go back as normal into venues, if that's what happens, then we can crack on. If you've still got social distancing measures in place, then it's knackered. You can't promote small hall boxing with all these protocols. You can do it with saying to a boxer, you have to have a vaccine. And even if they turn around and said, everybody attending has to have a vaccine, I don't even have a problem with that either. So, but that's how it, because I don't see why some people should be at close distance and be infected by people. Why should they be put at risk? But that's going to be determined by government policy, I think. So we will see. But again, if the board can quite easily say you have to be everybody that's in the ring has to be vaccinated, I don't see a problem with that. I don't see why anybody rejects. If a boxer doesn't want to get vaccinated, don't box anymore. Why should you be spitting on somebody if you haven't been vaccinated and you could be infecting them? Why should you? Why should somebody be subjected to that? That's my view. Fascist. I'm a fascist. That's fine. But anybody, what I have is the thing, right? We're all entitled to our own views without name calling people. And anybody that wants to call me a fascist, come on here, do it. We'll happily accept them on here and we'll have the debate. I'll debate with anybody. So don't hide behind keyboards. I hate people that sit behind keyboards and insult. If they want to do it, they must have watched it. So come on, let's have a proper debate, a grown-up debate without sitting behind a keyboard. And let's debate whether I'm a fascist or you're a moron.
There you go. There's the invite.
There you go.
Let's move on. You said about Jordan Reynolds possibly being too old turning pro. Possibly.
Not too old, too late.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, that's right. Ryan turned pro last week. Do you think there's a risk with her the same?
Who's that? Sorry, I lost you there in the signal.
No, Sandy Ryan.
How old is she?
I don't know, but I would guess late 20s if I had to take a punt.
I think women are slightly different because they carry on a lot longer. But I have a thing about, I've done a lot of studies on amateur boxers turning over, and there becomes a point upon which, I have a feeling that, and again, there are exceptions to the rule, but amateurs that have a certain amount of fights at when they go to a higher level and then turn pro become better than those that have been at a high level for a sustained period of time and had lots of wars and fights. There becomes
also get too used to the style, presumably, as well, of amateurs.
Yeah. There is a point upon which it's better to exit the amateurs because it becomes different. Now, Jordan's got the style for professional. And I hope, and I think he's entertaining, so I hope he does very well. But my question mark is, and this is something we'll look back later, that he's left it too long.
I like him out of the ring, Jordan.
Yeah, he's entertaining.
Yeah, he is. He's different. So people go and check out his social medias and stuff, little videos he puts together. They're good. They're good.
Because if you imagine that he was at the same thing with Linus Udofia. They had two very close fights that got either way as an amateur. So they were pitched at the same level. Linus is 15-0, an English champion, and has done the whole thing through the professional, while Jordan hasn't even had his first fight yet.
What about if they pitched a third fight in a year's time? Jordan, say 2-0, 3-0 by that point.
Oh my God, 100%.
Right.
100%. I'd fancy that. I'd fancy Linus Udofia to beat Jordan Reynolds every day of the week and twice on a Sunday. No problem.
All right, there's the offer, Jordan.
But listen, no disrespect to Jordan, because I think he's a great fighter, but he doesn't beat Linus Udofia anymore.
Yeah.
And when in fact, I've watched the amateur fights. He didn't beat Linus Udofia twice as an amateur either. So let's be quite fair. He got a nice little decision there. But
oddly enough, I used to work with Jordan's cousin, and then we were just chatting one day and worked out the link. And yeah, he was adamant that Jordan won both.
Yeah, well, he would do, but I watched them. I watched them fairly, and I think I genuinely think it was 1-1. So I'm not going to say Linus won both either. It was one. There was no doubt in my opinion it was 1-1. But you know how amateurs work. But it was very, very close, right? Really, really close. But I'd say it was 1-1. And again, you could have given Linus both, in my opinion. But I think 1-1 was fair. Jordan didn't win both those fights, no way. But it was very close. But one fighter has turned professional and is 15-0 and has done the whole nurturing, and one hasn't even started yet. That's my point.
Yeah. And talking about Sandy Ryan, women's boxing, did you watch Clarissa Shields at the weekend? Did you pay £30 for the pay-per-view or whatever it was?
No.
that was a big ask, wasn't it? I think it was £30.
There was not a hope in hell would I pay £30. I wouldn't. I've got to be really honest. I wouldn't pay £3, let alone 30. So it wouldn't interest me at all. Listen, she's not a pay-per-view fighter. It's ridiculous.
There's a big problem there that I genuinely, and this is my ignorance, but I didn't even know she was fighting.
No, I did.
I had no idea, but I mean that's my ignorance, and be that on me.
The better women's fight this week is McGaskill against Breakhouse. That's a really good fight. That's a really good fight. Now that's more pay-per-view worthy than Claressa Shields last week. By the way, that's not pay-per-view worthy either. But I'm saying that's the fight I'd get up in the night to watch. The Claressa Shields fight, I wouldn't. If it was in there, if it was starting 8 o'clock at night, I wouldn't. If I had something else to watch, I'd watch that instead.
What do you make of the claims of Savannah Marshall beat Shields?
Realistic?
But I don't know what that's based on. Like, as an amateur, she beat her. Yes, cool. But as a professional, Marshall's best win is Hannah Rankin. And good luck to Hannah, who's fighting out in South Africa this weekend, I think. Yeah. Good luck to her. But that doesn't tell me anything about Savannah as a professional. Whereas
you've got fair claim. I mean, you've got fair claim. She's unproven, right? Savannah's unproven. They're fair claims. You can't dogmatically say she beats Claressa Shields. That's nonsense. There's no evidence.
Hearn says she stopped Shields.
Is that what he said?
Yeah. He said it today, I think.
Eddie says,
I know that's his job. That's his job. That's fine.
His job, right? It's his job, right? So, yeah, I mean, I think in reality, it's a great fight. I'd like to watch that fight. It'd be a really good fight. And I think Claressa Shields is good, but I think Savannah Marshall's got a decent chance on what I've seen as a professional. I think it's a great fight, but that's what it is. But to go around saying that Savannah Marshall definitely beats, I think, was it Sam Jones said she's pound for pound the best
woman in the world?
Well, that's bullshit again. It's just nonsense. But a lot of people in boxing talk a lot of bullshit from time to time. Now, there is no evidence for saying that. It's nonsense. But
I'm meant to be interviewing Sam Jones this weekend, potentially, so I'm going to drill him on that. Yeah.
Because in reality, that is based on Sam's close friends with Peter Fury, very close friends. Peter Fury trains Savannah Marshall, and then you make these claims. I would not, just because I know somebody who knows somebody, I'm not going to make ludicrous false claims. But people do in this sport, and if it wasn't, if it's Claressa Shields was trained by Peter Fury, Claressa Shields is the best one in the world. That's just how people, the shit people spout. But in reality, that's a nonsense claim. There's no justification. You can't say that. So she's done better than everyone else. You could argue it's just nonsense. But that's
not while Shields and Taylor are still fighting. You can't.
It's nonsense. Nonsense.
Yeah. Nonsense. Cool. So no, that's it. That's pretty much it for the boxing world, and it's gone on. Joseph Parker, what do you reckon to him leaving Kevin Barry?
He didn't look that great in his last fight. But once again in boxing, was it Kevin Barry's my father? He's like my dad. Oh, he's been the biggest influence in my life. I could never do anything wrong to him. My God, he's unbelievable. He's my dad, my uncle, my everything, my brother.
Now I'm off to join Andy Lee. See you.
I'm off to join Andy Lee. Bye. But that's boxing. That's how boxing is. So nothing surprises me in boxing. It's the most disloyal enterprise business that I've ever seen in my life. So nothing ever surprises me. Nothing.
Right, questions. Let's crack on. We had loads last week, and thank you very, very much to everyone who submitted them. I think we got everyone's, but apologies if we didn't. But I put it out late this week because of the fact there were so many last week. I thought I'll narrow the window of opportunity to do so because it was overwhelming. So, Better Q on Twitter. Are dinner shows a possibility for Steve if we are at, say, 50% crowds to bring in further income?
But it won't. Right. So I'll split that into two. Let's break it down. Are 50-50 shows possible?
I missed the end of that. Possibly using the 4-round undercard fighters as waiters later on in the evening.
Well, let's do it into 3 bits. Number 1, is it possible to do dinner shows? Is it possible? The answer is yes. To bring in further income, there won't be any further income. You'd be lucky to break even. So it would be a case of trying to do a show to give some fighters some work, but you won't be making any money out of it. Definitely not in this climate. And thirdly, you'd probably need the boxers to be waiters because you wouldn't be able to afford the real ones.
And his other question, would actually 2 more questions, sorry. Would Steve match Linus Udofia and Brad Pauls as a huge headline fight in September?
It would be like matching your 2 boys together. You know, you've got 2 sons who are boxers and you might as well let them fight each other. They are like the closest friends, the best of brothers. That will never happen.
Can I put this out there, though? Because I've trained with both of them down at Club KO. I know Club KO's moved now. If you want to see that fight, get in touch with either of them and ask just to go and watch their sparring, because they spar like they're fighting anyway.
Exactly.
So just get in contact and I'll probably let you come down and watch. But honestly, they go at each other hammer and tong, and then they cuddle and kiss at the end and they're best mates. But watching them spar in itself is worthwhile. So
they would never fight each other. I guess it was a world title and pay-per-view and there was hundreds, there's loads of millions, they'd probably do it then. But they're never going to fight each other.
Question number 4. How do you see Chocolatito and Estrada matchup going?
I fancy Estrada to win that. I think he's got a little bit too much. But yeah, that's my view, really. I think Estrada wins.
I'm terrible as a boxing fan for watching little men. Super flyweights. I should watch more of them because you get some cracking fights, like, you know, Chocolatito against Yafai. That was good fun.
Yeah.
Chocolatito Estrada last time round was a brilliant fight, and it's brilliant that we get to see it again.
Yeah.
I don't know enough about super flyweights in general.
I think Estrada wins, but I think it's a good fight. It's close. It's a close fight, but I think Estrada, you know, I haven't looked at the odds, but I think if it's about even money, Estrada's a reasonable bet at even money, but I don't know what the odds are. I haven't looked.
Cool. What's real on Twitter? How are K Prosper's preparations going ahead of his big fight for the European against Martin out in Spain? Not me, thankfully. Hope he brings it back to the UK.
Well, they're going well. I mean, the problem he's had is his trainer's out with Dylan White over in Portugal.
In Portugal, yeah.
So the fight got put back, which is good because the rescheduled fight day, once Dylan White got rescheduled, meant that his trainer wasn't going to be with K in Portugal. Now the fight's been delayed to April. It's perfect for him because now he'll get enough time with Xavier over in the UK. So from that point of view, the delay's been perfect for him.
Well, I don't know how it'll work. So you've got the Dillian White fight with Xavier over there.
Yeah.
Then Xavier comes back to the UK. He'll presumably have to self-isolate for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So Kay wouldn't get that time. I don't know. Presumably wouldn't get that.
But then his fight's not till the 20-something of April, isn't it? So he's got quite
a couple of weeks.
And he's got somebody else doing the training now because he was doing that anyway. So that will be fine for Kay. It fits in perfect with the delay of the fight. Is more advantageous for Kay.
I know he's looking in good nick.
Yeah, he's doing it. Look, he knows this is it for him, isn't it? This is his World Cup. This is his World Cup. All in one night. So this is it for him. This is it. A big night.
The door that's opened. Jamie Spate. Steve, do you miss me? I cannot wait to entertain fans again.
Do I miss him in terms of in the ring? Yeah. Do I miss him generally? No, because I speak to him a lot of times. I spoke to him yesterday or the day before. Well, I can ring Jamie in between a call for 5 minutes, so you can just get on. But I always give him a call. I always like to see how he is, and he's no, I do. I miss him. I miss him in the ring, but he's promising to come back and be a bit more adventurous. So it should be quite fun. He's got a year.
You can't miss someone that doesn't go away, Jamie.
Exactly.
So he's going to come. So is he going to come back still in the journeyman role, or is he going to come back and have another go?
I think he might have another go. I think he might do a bit of both. Set
an example to those lads in the gym, can't he?
Yeah, exactly. I think that's what he's thinking now. So no, I think he'll come back and he'll have a little go and he'll do a bit of both. But I don't think he put before. All he would do is go around and do the rounds, and he wouldn't be bothered at all about the result. He would just go around and do it. I think he'll want to get some wins now as well.
I want to see if you're just going to go round and do the 4 rounds or whatever. That's fine, Jamie. Cool, no issue with that. There's a role for that. But I want to see you start clowning around. I want to see the Moses Matovu style moves. I missed that, man, Moses Matovu. He was
great, wasn't it? Great.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant, man. But yeah, like I remember, there's a Mark Little fight always stood out for me when he was just leaning up against the ropes halfway through a round.
Great, Moses was brilliant, wasn't he? Really good for the sport. Really good guy.
Good man. Steve Baum on Twitter. How does a huge Fury Joshua negotiation work? Wow.
I have no idea. I've not been. Well, I guess. I've not dealt with a fight that big, but I guess it's no different than anything else. Just with more zeros at the end, they're going to be arguing about splits of purses, how much each promoter gets out of it. Because you've got to remember that there's a lot of people with their hands in the pies here, so all going to want their share. So, and then they're going to be discussing about the network, who's going to show it, who's going to take the percentage of the pay-per-views. One of the things they will do is argue about the percentage of pay-per-view, who's going to get what, because that's one of the biggest bits. I mean, when Hay fought Klitschko, I think the fighters got sort of 90% of the pot, and that doesn't work anymore. It's not, they don't get as much as that anymore. So I think it's very much going to be a debate on how they do that. There's just a lot of things to go, but there's enough money there for everybody. But again, I've not been privy to a big negotiating as big a fight as that, but I would imagine it's the same sort of principle as everything else. I mean, I'm sure I'd be happy negotiating a fight like that. It wouldn't be a problem, because at the end of the day, negotiation, as long as you know what's on the table and what you're dealing with. But again, a lot of it's going to be ego, isn't it? Who goes to the ring first? Who gets what dressing room? Who's going to be announced first on the poster? Who's going to have... So you're going to have all of that. That will probably be more about that than there will about the money.
I didn't think there was negotiation. I thought one man sorted it last year, by all accounts. But there we go.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you reckon the fight happens this year?
Yeah, I think there's too much money for it not to happen. Yeah, I think it does. I think it probably does happen. But we've been here before, right? With the Wilder fights. But I think it does. I think it generally does happen. I'm
going to stick my neck out. I don't think it does.
Why don't you think?
I don't know. I don't even know why not. I mean, money's an obvious, as you say, like splitting it. How does it all cut up? Where do you do it? But I think, and here's the thing, I always say this about boxers. You could take any two boxers from any weight division around the same level. You could put them in a room with no managers, no promoters, no negotiators, and say, here's £500. You're going to fight in a car park in 2 hours. And they would agree that fight and they would work it out between themselves. But when you've got everybody else piling into it, the TV networks, the promoters, the managers, the advisors, the people that want to take their part at the end of it, then it becomes a problem. And I think if you left Fury and Joshua in a room and it was only those two people and all of that money was the same, all the TV networks were going to, there was no issue over that. The crowd money, everything. I'm pretty sure those two in a room together would walk out an hour later having decided who gets how much money.
You've got the ego between the promoters as well. You've got Bob Arum. So you've got Bob Arum. You've got MTK and Daniel Kinahan. You've got Frank Warren. You've got on the other side. You've got the Hearn, the Joshua. Then you've got the BT Sport there, and you've got Sky there, and you've got DAZN over there. But can I just say one thing? Why does it need so many people?
No, I know. And I say that's why
you need that many people to do a deal.
If you put those two people in a room on their own with nobody else around and you told them what the pot of money was going to be, they would have that ironed out in an hour. So why
you've got like Warren and Hearn, they don't like each other. You've got Arum and Hearn are falling out. So you've got these particular problems. I mean, Daniel Kinahan and MTK, well, they work with both parties. So I'm sure they can probably try and broker it a bit because they can cross the table over. But I think that in reality, when they said it was Bob Arum doing the deal, I don't think anybody really believed it was Bob Arum doing the deal, because it wasn't. I don't believe it was Bob Arum doing the deal. So, but I do believe he's got a part to play, but he's not a significant player in this arrangement. But yeah, from that point of view, I think there's too much money, and I also think that Joshua's at risk of getting beaten, and I think that if they don't take it and he has to fight somebody, not talking about somebody quite old like Pulev, I'm talking about have a real live contender, he could get beat again, and then that's
like a Michael Hunter or I don't know. What's his name?
Even Hergovich, even someone like
Hergovich. That's what I was trying to.
But they could beat him, and therefore the fight's out the window. He can't have another loss and get away with it. So I think it's time to take the money.
Yeah, right. Lee Larstar on Twitter. Hope you're well, Lee. I know you've not been, great over the past, so I hope all is well, my friend. Any chance of a ticket to the garden party, as I must qualify as long-time viewer?
100%.
Yeah. So we were discussing this actually prior to it, the garden party idea. We're going to pick a date in August is the idea. We'll see if there's any boxing that gets scheduled for around that period. And the idea will be people that view this, that we, to some degree, know, because I guess you don't want total randoms turning up at your house. People we're aware of and know, come along by invite, and we'll have a night in the Goodwin shack, do a bit of a Q&A live, do some general boxing chit chat, and have a few drinks.
A few drinks, yeah, something
and
like that.
Enjoy freedom.
Exactly. No, definitely do that. And if anybody does want to definitely say, they just send Martin a message, and we'll compile a list of people to come. We'll get some other boxing people there as well, so we'll make it quite interesting. And again, we'll be able to answer questions with no video on, so we'll be able to answer a lot more than some of the things that we can't answer here. We'll answer for you there.
Yeah, and fuck it, I don't have to present it at that point. Someone else can do it.
Exactly that.
I should sit and have a drink. Riku Lead Right on Twitter. Last question, this. What impact do you see Brexit having on boxing post-pandemic? E.g., do you think EU fighters be wanting to move here, getting EU fighters at short notice, and UK fighters going abroad? Will that be more difficult?
I think so, because I think you'll need visas. I think they're going to be. So what I think is going to happen, the first time you get an EU fighter, they're going to want a visa. They're going to need a visa, and whoever's booking them first is going to have to pay for that visa. So then your
visa might last for a month or
2 months or 3 months. So what's going to happen is a lot of promoters are going to think, well, I don't want to pay for that visa because I might pay for it. You might then pull out of the fight, and then you go on other promoter shows. So there's going to be issues with that, because who's going to want to stomach up the visa cost for a fighter not being 100% sure he's going to fight on your show? So that becomes a problem, because the fighters over there won't pay for their own visas, that's for sure.
Would there be a scenario whereby, for instance, you had a show one week and MTK had a show the next week, and you both want the same opponent from Hungary, that you come to an agreement whereby you pay 50% each of the visa?
What happens if he gets stopped?
Yeah, but then I was going to say maybe 30% for the guy who's paying it for the second week, on the provision that they might get stopped the first week, or I don't know. Would that happen? Some scenario like that?
I don't know. I think it's going to be a difficult one. And then you've got the fact that maybe boxers, they're going to try and ask for more money. I don't know, because there's going to be a lot of issues over foreign boxers. So I think you'll need to want to use some more UK journeymen. And I think from our point of view, with our brand having 3 shows back-to-back weeks, if you get a boxer to agree to fight on 2 or 3 of the weeks, you'll probably pay the visa, but you're not going to pay the visa if they are. I think if you could, because I knew this we started before. When you got guys outside the EU and you've got visas for them, it would cost money if you got them from Georgia. and then they wouldn't fight. They'd pull out of an injury, and they'd be fighting on somebody else's show the week after.
Yeah.
And you couldn't get your money back.
Do you see a scenario whereby, say, Matchroom, for instance, might move certain foreign fighters over for like a couple of months, rent out a house, move them in?
Yeah, for that sort of thing, it's possible, isn't it? It's possible. It depends on what because we haven't seen what the visa rules are yet, have we?
I don't know.
No, I don't think we've. No, but they have not been published. So, I think they were saying that you can only employ an EU person if you can't find a UK one to do the same job and all this sort of stuff. So it's going to be problematical, that's for sure. So I think there will be a shortage of opponents. I think there could be fights fall through. I think it'll be harder to get last minute replacements. I think that, and there isn't going to be the money to throw extra money at it. So there could be some fights that fall off. It's going to be problematical. I don't think there are problems in the way I think people will want to get out and watch boxing again. I think it will boom, but I think there are going to be logistical problems with opponents for sure.
But presumably the potential flip side to that is that lads will have to fight one another.
That's potentially it. That they may have to take harder fights early. That may well be for some of them, it may well be what they have to do. I mean, the other thing is if, under our, we've signed quite a few journeymen. So from our point of view, we've got some in-house journeymen. So that helps as well.
Yeah. There we go. That's all the questions.
Brilliant. So
we'll be back next week. There's the Matchroom card to...
You know something? That's the first time I've been called a fascist about anything in my whole life.
Is it?
I've been called some things, but never a fascist. But there we go. There we go.
Again, maybe next week we're going to have the vaccine debate.
Yeah, I'm really happy to have it because it's just, it's crazy, isn't it? Because you can have opinions without, I wouldn't call anybody a name who doesn't want to take the vaccine. I might say to them that I think you might have to suffer because I think if you don't have the vaccine, should you be allowed to go on a plane? Probably not. But that's okay. Don't have a vaccine, but because there's always been laws about if you've got you've got to have jabs before you go to certain countries, and you've got to make sure you.
Yeah.
That's normal. It's just normal. So I don't know why everybody's getting so het up about the if you don't take it, you stay in the UK and live your life here and live the way you want to live. It's really difficult. I'm going to criticise you, but if I'm a fascist for saying what I say, then I'm a fascist.
Just have it and carry on. Have it. It'll take 2 minutes out of your life. Have it. Carry on life. Everyone's happy.
What's the problem? And forget all the conspiracy bullshit that people keep. But
Bill Gates does not give a fuck if you're sat on your sofa for the next few weeks. Where, if you don't think one of these things, that's my loyalty card for my local pub, by the way. Can't wait for that to open. If you don't think people can track you on that already, then you've got issues.
Exactly that. It's madness. It's madness. So it makes no sense to me. But just get the vaccine, get us all done, get us all safe. Let's get back to boxing. But I can honestly see there being vaccine tests in boxing. I can see it.
I don't see the harm in it either. Again, as long as it isn't detrimental to everything happening, then crack on. If it oils the wheels of society getting back to normal, then crack on.
That's all I want. Yeah, that's all I want. So we'll see how it goes. Yeah, I mean, because one of my boxers rang me last week or texted me and said, I've been offered the vaccine. Should I take it? And I said, yes. So I think he went and had it done. Because my advice to boxers is to get the vaccine. I have got a couple of boxers who have said they won't have the vaccine. So I've said, be prepared not to be boxing, that there's a chance you won't be boxing again.
Fair enough.
And that's it. So I'm not criticising you for not having it, but if you don't box again, then that's okay.
For the sake of getting a vaccine, the amount of... never mind.
Maybe we can have the debate next week. If anybody does feel that we're that out of order, let's come and talk about it. We could have a proper grown-up discussion, can't we?
Yeah, agree. Right, cool. We'll see you next week. There'll be some boxing preview. We're going to get planning for August. We'll start sorting out invites. It'll be a brilliant night.
It will be good. So get hold of Martin if you fancy coming.
Excellent.
Take care. Cheers,
Cheers,
Mark.
Dave. Take care.
Bye, mate. Bye.